Welcome to the Friends and Rivals podcast.
Let's talk Devils and Islanders, let's talk Penguins and Rangers, but let's not talk about Flyers, cause they're a bunch of fucks, which no one can deny,
Don't try it till you've had it. This is episode 90 of the Friends and Rivals podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tom Harkness. Joining me each week are...
I'm back. Stephen Wojtowicz.
And this is Bill, here and ready for book club.
I'm in a rush. Let's go, guys. Come on. 45.
Gosh, where are you going?
Go.
Go to sleep.
It's 9:10, and you're ready for bed at 9:10?
Listen, Isles game's done. They wrapped it up like an hour ago. So I'm gonna have my nightcap ready to go to bed. Let's go.
Listen, I gotta tell you, I was ready for bed an hour ago. So I'm right with you there, big guy. All right, let's go right into shitty call of the week.
21 San Jose. Both guys, 5 each for fighting.
This one comes to you as probably no surprise to anybody who listens to this podcast who saw the Islander Ranger game last Tuesday night. The shitty call of the week.
Rangers have their puck off the draw. Ooh, that was close. Boy, Walsham almost took a penalty there. Oh, my goodness. Anders Lee and the Islanders have the lead.
First off, who's the backup play-by-play guy for the Islanders?
That's the guy who said, this guy!
Isn't that Brendan Burke? The guy?
No, it wasn't
that's
Brendan
not-
Burke that night.
That's not Brendan. I think it's the radio guy. I always forget. He sounds kind of like Brendan, but he's it's not Brendan. I think it's the radio guy.
Is
I'll
it
remember
Brendan
later.
Byrne?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sure.
No, that's what he should do. So this was the play. Game tied 3 in the third period. Rangers win the faceoff, put the puck around. Kako retrieves the puck and gets blatantly tripped in front of the referee, who decides to swallow his whistle, and it leads directly to a turnover at the blue line and a pass in front to Lee, who backhands it past Kirkin, all alone in front for a 4-3 Islander lead late in the third period. I have no idea what the referee was looking at.
Yeah, and it's
Two
important to note that even Butchie during that replay is like, hey, that's a trip. And
It was a blatant trip. Now, Billy, yes, there are two officials. There was the one official, though, was literally right on top of the fucking play, looking at it. And
it's right in front of him.
After Kako goes down, he makes this weird gesture with his arms. Like sometimes you'll see him be like, no, like you're declining something. That's the arm movement that they'll make. But he didn't do that. He just made this awkward fucking shrug with his arms. I don't know what that's meant to say. Hopefully they'll give you an angle. Well, maybe we can go back a little bit. Yeah, he just did it right there. So watch the official in the corner. What did he have a spasm? What the fuck was he doing?
Go back. I think he was nervous the puck was coming his way.
We can only wish. Yeah, I'm trying to get him when he's in that position, but I don't know. Hold on, let me bring it back a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like he was getting ready for the puck to come his way, and he was putting his hands up to block.
But where was the puck at that point?
I don't see the penalty.
Let me don't see the penalty.
I don't see.
Okay, right here. Watch Walston. Right there.
I mean, Kako forgets how to skate. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Okay. Right. No, listen. Normally, I wouldn't disagree with that. However, there.
It was pretty blatant. Pretty blatant and led to a goal. That's kind of
your guy did
brutal.
get the puck after Kako fell down. He just wasn't able to get it out of the zone.
Well, that's a story for later on. But that is a shitty call of the week.
2 weeks in a row, Isles on the shitty call of the week. Pretty amazing.
Well, they made up for the last week's one then.
I guess so,
right?
yeah.
You're even now on the season.
Even, 1-1.
So we universally thought last week that it was a penalty and Steve wasn't there, but now Steve is is giving us some dissent this week. He's saying that was not a
Oh
penalty.
yeah, I didn't
was
like
just
the
a-
unanimous nature last week.
Yeah.
That's bullshit that you didn't agree. You didn't disagree about anything last week. You guys agreed
No,
about
it
everything.
was such.
We
it
didn't
was
have
such
our
a nice-
contrarian.
It was a nice,
Yeah,
pleasant
really.
show last week.
Very cordial.
Our resident contrarian is
You
back.
also didn't get the trivia. You're lucky you got the 20 questions.
Oh, listen, from the point on the power play, you kidding me? Woo! I don't know if that was from the point, but
I'm
definitely
looking to screw that up this week.
well, listen, we have to we got to start keeping track of our percentage here.
Okay, well we'll leave that up to the guy whose segment it is.
I like that idea. All right, so we're 1 for 1 counting last week. We'll start from last week
Done.
because I don't remember what we did. You scored the week before that, didn't you?
Well, I think the week before was the infamous Adam Graves week.
It might have
Talk
been.
about shitty call of the week. That would have been shitty call of the week because we didn't get a goal, but we totally should have.
And Nick's
That
still
puck
not-
entirely entirely crossed the
Yeah.
line.
Oh,
Nick is still not shaving either, by the way.
Yeah, still.
I forgot. Whatever. It
Yeah,
really
2 weeks
didn't matter
for- 2
now.
weeks he forgot.
We should
I
do
missed
like
it.
we should do like they do with dogs after they chew on furniture, and then the owner posts a picture of the dog with a sign that said, "Guess who was a bad boy?"
I thought we were gonna rub his nose in it.
Well,
Yeah.
we could do that too.
I thought you were gonna hit me
like
with a
that.
newspaper or something.
I think we should.
little
I think
smack.
we should make a sign for him, and he should be forced to take a picture holding the sign.
That's not a bad idea.
Keep that in the back of your mind.
Figuring as he's gonna win our fantasy league.
We're gonna have Tara make the sign, and he can't even see what it says. He's just got to stand with it in front of him.
Wasn't that like from Die Hard or something? Didn't that happen in like one of those Die Hard movies? He was out on the streets of New York and he had a sign that said, never mind.
Yes, it was a very, very awkward word to say on any medium. Yes.
Yes.
That was Die
That was
Hard
the
with
second one,
Vengeance.
right?
No, it was
Yeah, it
the
was
third one.
third.
Third?
Maybe the
movie.
Third one,
third
yeah.
or fourth. I don't know.
It was,
The best one. The
It's
third
with
one.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
The third one was one
Oh,
of
with
the better ones.
with the snakes on the plane.
No. That's
No.
a completely different movie. Completely different movie. But it's almost time for friggin' Christmas movies and
Not a
watch
Christmas
Die Hard
movie, but
again.
okay.
Oh,
Sure.
God.
Yeah.
But now Billy brought to attention. They have that what was it, the nativity calendar with
Yeah.
A Die Hard advent calendar.
the advent calendar. Oh man, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. All right,
I saw an advent calendar that was all lip gloss. Does that make lip gloss something you can only use at
Why the-
Christmas?
Why were you looking at lip
Wow.
gloss?
Because it was in the store and I was walking down the aisle and it was there.
What store? Forever 21.
Where do you shop?
I shop at Kmart, Ray.
Kmart sucks, Ray.
All right, can we go to our fantasy? I've been trying to get into our fantasy for the last fucking 10 minutes.
The segment we don't have
Ooh.
the challenge we don't have a name for.
Fantasy.
We don't have a name for it. I'm gonna start calling it Fantasy Mondays.
Okay.
Fantasy Island. We got to tie in Fantasy Island somehow. Let me work on that.
Why?
All right.
Wait, do you have an idea for a theme song? Is that what
Island
is that what
doesn't-
you're
there's
implying?
The only island is the island Tom is in last place.
Well,
Ooh.
listen.
Maybe not for long.
Not after my red hot Pittsburgh Penguins. Are you kidding me? I knew it.
That's why he traded you. He sacrificed his team in this challenge, knowing that if he traded them, they would start to win a little bit more.
Of course, that was the psychology behind it. 100%. But I don't.
Yeah,
give a
because I feel
shit.
like I control that with my bet. Yeah, I feel like I control the fates of hockey with the luck of my bet.
This is fucking Robinson Cano all over again. Listen, I'm
wish.
still in last place. However, I am only 5 points behind Billy with 6 games in hand. 6, which hopefully I won't lose every single one of them. There was 1 point over the weekend where I was 1 point behind
You're
you.
right there. You're right there.
I was. But I have certainly been in last place the majority of the entire season. But listen, I think the Penguins trade was the turning point of the season for me. Nick is
You
Joe,
wish.
Nick is just running away with this fucking thing.
The gap gets exponentially wider every week. He's going to win
Nick,
this thing by 3,000 points.
Can
somehow.
I trade you? You listen to this, all right? I'm going to trade you the Arizona Coyotes and the Anaheim Ducks for the Boston Bruins. Two teams
That's
for
That's
one.
a negative. That's
What do you mean
can't
negative?
You can't do two. That doesn't. How is this going to work?
The league vetoes that one.
I don't give a shit.
Arizona and what was the other one?
And Anaheim.
And
for Boston.
Sega
Okay,
Genesis just called. That trade is not allowed.
So let's talk about that to the listeners who can't see what we're looking at here. Arizona has.
Trust me, they know.
As of Sunday night, they have six wins, and Anaheim has 4. In the combined
10.
total, that's 10 in the combined 30 games.
Bill?
Boston in their 16 games have 14 wins.
Uh-huh.
That's 4 more wins than the other 2 shitty teams you would like to give me.
Billy, check that math.
I feel like
is that 4
math
more?
is spot on.
I mean, it's possible that the other 2 teams would combine for enough wins to catch Boston by the end of the season. It's not very likely, though. I don't.
Not worth
see
the
that.
risk.
I don't know. I would bet they're not going to.
That's a good bet.
I would bet combined they're not going to equal Boston.
Boston's not going to keep up that pace for the full season, but I don't feel confident that Arizona and Anaheim are going to pick it up a whole hell of a lot more.
Thomas, do you want to have a side bet with Steve on that one?
I don't know if they're. Yeah, I mean that's 25 wins for one, maybe 30 wins for the other. Even that would be generous for both of them.
I mean, there's 2 teams. 2 teams could combine for at least as many wins as Boston. I mean, come on.
I don't know.
Not a chance. God in heaven.
Well, Nick, if you're so
Terrible.
confident, make the trade, man.
Yeah, Nick. I mean, please go ahead.
No, absolutely not. You can go fuck yourself.
Tom would be instantly out of last place if he did that.
Instantly out of last place. That is correct. I wonder if there's
All right.
any way to do this.
And just to give the listeners who can't see this again, standings, I have 156 points total in first place. Steve, 128 points in second place. Bill, 126 points, third place. And then Tom just getting up there, 121 points in last place. But now we're starting to see a little bit more parity coming together.
Yeah, if you can come back to the pack a little, that would be great.
Yeah. Games in hand, everyone's pretty much even. There's not really a big. Tom had a few more games in hand than us, so that could play into this a little bit, giving him back into the swing of things. But as of last night, I have the top 2 teams and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of the top 10 right now. Wow. It's kind of a big jump, with Steve having 2, Bill having 1, and Tom having the lone devils that he plucked before Steve could pick them. So Tom's only saving grace this season in fantasy has to be him stealing the devils before Steve could get them.
Hold on. Not just the devils now. The Penguins are, what, 2-1 since I've traded for them? So
2-0-1, and you really got to get over the Penguins acting like that's going to be your anchor the rest of the way, because I got some news for you, pal.
It's going to be an anchor. It's going to drag them down.
Well, listen, there's in real life, they're good teams, and good teams when they play the bad teams, they're supposed to not leave those points on the table, right? And you're bad teams, and you're just fighting. Who are the bad teams in the NHL right now?
I think they're all in the West. I really don't think there's a terrible team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, 100% really not.
I mean, the Senators, mathematically, somebody's going to work out to be shitty in the Eastern Conference, Penguins and Senators and, whatever else. But I don't think the Senators on any given night, they ain't no joke. But, you got Anaheim and Arizona. Yeah. There's some
even Columbus. Columbus is the number 31 team in the NHL right now. They could beat anybody in the Eastern Conference or the West. They could beat anybody on any given night.
They kicked the Flyers' ass.
They beat the Rangers. That's not saying much, but they did. St. Louis is number 30.
Fuck you fucking crybaby, John Tortorella. not wanting to answer questions. You
Excuse me.
sensitive little.
Ask me questions about the game, all right?
Jesus, you little crybaby. I don't want to answer your questions.
Are these teams really bad, or is it just still the beginning of the year?
We're getting close, man. Once you get December, we kind of know who these teams
There's
are.
a lot of new faces in Columbus too, right?
Yeah, agreed. And when St. Louis won the cup in what, 17 or 18, they were dead.
Yeah, they were dead last going into January.
In
Yeah.
January. So I listen, and that doesn't happen every year. But they're the exception for sure, not the rule. So Vancouver, yeah, they're bad. Anaheim, they're terrible. But Chicago is not as bad as everybody thought they were. I don't think Pittsburgh is as bad as everybody thinks they are, Billy. I don't think Calgary is as bad as everyone thinks they are. Buffalo is pretty decent. I mean, these teams, are they going through a rut, or these bottom tier teams, right? The last 10 spots: Pittsburgh, Calgary, Buffalo, Arizona, Nashville, San Jose, Ottawa, Vancouver, St. Louis, Columbus, Anaheim. Is that really the bottom tier of the league this year?
I mean, it's always got to be teams, right? I think St. Louis is surprisingly this low. They should definitely be high. They should not be so poor this season. I think we all kind of thought Ottawa would be a little better this year, especially picking up Giroux and Brinket. I watched them tonight play. I think they're underperforming as well. I can't say a lot about the bottom feeding West Coast teams because I haven't seen much of them yet. But Buffalo as well. I think that's the last one I would call out as a team that should be better. They pushed on the Golden Knights the other night. They look pretty good there, and
until Eichel scored a hat trick in the third period.
Eichel.
Well, listen, I on adding to that list, Nick, I don't think Nashville is as bad as they're playing right now. They're a good team with a lot of good, solid players, and they should be a lot better than what they are. And they got a great goaltender. So I don't know. I think we got to revisit this in the middle of December and see where these teams are, because I don't think these teams are as bad as we think they are right now. But then again, this year they could be.
Yeah, and to put Nashville in perspective, they're 6-8-1. They're only 2 games away from 500 effectively. I mean, you could argue 3 games, but 2 games and you're right there, and you're 500 play. But that's not enough right now. I mean, you got a very top heavy league with the top 3 teams, the combined total of 8 losses and almost 40 wins. 39 wins. Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, as great as this Devils run that they've been on is, they're not tops in the East, and they're just barely tops in the Metro.
Yeah. And the top 3 teams, Boston, Vegas, Jersey, all are 9-1 their last 10.
Yeah.
That sure happens from time to time, obviously, right? Because of 32 teams. But that's pretty impressive, man, in this early in the season.
Well, and the point is that they're beating the teams that they should be beating.
Yes.
The Devils played the Coyotes the other night.
They played the Coyotes. They beat them. They beat the Senators. They're
beating the teams that they need to beat. And the Islanders lost to the Coyotes.
We lost to the Coyotes,
but they won games they maybe shouldn't have, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So that
look at all the third
balance.
period comebacks.
Yeah.
Comeback kids.
Yeah, but I just thought it would be interesting to take a peek at the league and see where we are right now and see, are those bottom 10 teams really the bottom tier of the league this year, or do we see any of those coming out? And it looks like some of them we see coming out of the bottom. Teams like Seattle. I didn't think Seattle was going to be where they are this year. And on the flip side of that, even Winnipeg, they have the most overrated player in the NHL, Corey Connor. So I think we got to give this another month, and then we can.
Well, no, I would say, like you said, as soon as it turns into January 1, I would say revisit it. So that's like 6 weeks. and just see, compare the stats from now to the stats then, and see were those teams playing above their head, or are they still playing above their head?
Oh, does that mean I got to take a screenshot of this right now?
Probably.
God damn it.
That would be like show prep. Why would we do that?
Homework. Blah. Homework. Yuck. All right, let's take a ride on the metro. Sponsored by Nestle Quick. Hello, boys and girls. Do you hate the taste of regular milk and need energy? Try Nestle Quick. One sip and you can feel the energy in your muscles. Nestle Quick, now available in chocolate and strawberry.
They say the real men drink pink. Then I'm a real man for sure. But if you like the brown, I still love you for who you are. Because it's time for acceptance of everyone, all preference. We're all quick on the inside anyway. Nestle Quick, it does the trick.
Well, Rangers didn't have a bad week at all, but it looks like I'm starting. They were 2-2 this week in games. They could have been, should have been maybe a little bit better than that. But in the games that they lost, they outshot the Islanders 40-26 in a really tight, close game. So it's not like the Islanders were playing ahead. The Rangers were playing ahead the majority of that game. They dominated the faceoff circle and they dominated the hitting right at 31-18. Game against Nashville, 35-18 shots on goal, 51-49 faceoff percentages, and 32-25 in hits. So there was a little bit more pushback from Nashville. But those are the two games that the Rangers lost, and they completely, I don't want to say dominated play, but man, they have their opportunities, and they are just, for all the good luck that they had last year, they're just not getting it this year. And it's obviously not by or for lack of effort. You get a 6-goal explosion in the third period against Detroit to get a win on the road. You lose a tough one to Nashville on Saturday night, and then you come home. We're really, really flat in the first and second period against Arizona, but you get kind of a little puck luck with Barclay Goodrow scoring that first goal against Arizona that kind of let the floodgates open a little bit, and you get a 2-2 week. So I think for the Rangers that they need to keep their head at least at the waterline, and they continue to do that. So even with poor performances in some games, and games in where they're outstatting their opponents, at least beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. Now they didn't beat Nashville, but they should have. Maybe they should have, but it's just a completely different year this year. And I think it was Billy who mentioned even in the beginning of the year how the Rangers really didn't face adversity last year. Well, they're facing plenty of it this year. And it's just by the bounce of the puck. And look, Halak in his last couple of games hasn't been that bad, but he's 0-4-1 on the season. Shesterkin's 8-2-2 on the season. Hopefully on this trip, maybe Halak gets one in here. Maybe they got a back-to-back against Anaheim and the Kings late next week. So maybe Halak gets the back end of that, because I would imagine Shesterkin would go against the Kings. But hopefully we can get Halak a win here or something on the positive side, because in his last two performances, he played pretty well, but he's getting nothing to show for it. And the Rangers, and we talked about this last week, that the Rangers are definitely a different team in front of Igor than they are with Halak. Again, for all the bad negative things I said about Adam Fox in the first couple of weeks of the season, he has He has been proving me wrong the past couple of weeks. He has just been absolutely stellar in his play, not just offensively, but defensively as well.
He must have been listening.
He had to have been
Yeah.
listening. Had to have been listening.
Nobody likes to be called out.
No, absolutely not. Other than Adam Fox, Mika Zibanejad has had a really solid start to the season, where he's notoriously a slow starter. So he's had a really solid start to the season, and Igor's been stellar as we kind of all expected. This week starts the Rangers West Coast trip. They're not going to do the Canada thing, but they're going to do the California thing. They start out in Seattle on Thursday night, 10 o'clock, and on Saturday night, 10:30 start. Oof.
San
in
Jose? Yeah. They're like the Islanders. They start at weird times.
It's that Bay Area. But then again, you get the following week, the Kings are at 10:30 as well. I don't know why.
That might be. Is that like a national game? Is that a TNT?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't say on the no, it's just Bally Sports West and MSG for the Kings.
Okay.
But now starts their West Coast trip, and here's where you can get some points. You got Seattle and San Jose. Those are two teams. Maybe not Seattle with the way you're playing, and you know what? Maybe it's just when you play teams too, right? Because the Rangers played Minnesota early in the season when Minnesota couldn't get their shit together, and the Rangers, put a 7 spot on them. But the last couple of games or the last couple of weeks, the Wild have been playing really a lot better hockey and giving up a lot less goals and winning more games. So maybe this is just a bad time to play Seattle. They beat the Penguins two games, and maybe you're just a team in the beginning of the season right now that you don't want to play, that you want to play later on. But that's still a team that you should go out there and beat. And even in San Jose, they should beat that team as well. So go out and get your points, gel a little bit, bond on the trip, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for sure. My Pittsburgh Penguins are coming back, Billy. No, nothing. Crickets.
You rubbing your hands together makes a noise for our listeners, but the way you feverishly rub your hands together, that I don't think you get your excitement across really the same way.
It's not like no.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Penguins had a good week. I can't deny it. They went on a 3-game road trip since we last spoke into Washington, Toronto, and Montreal. And, after a 7-game losing streak, to take 5 out of 6 points on a 3-game road trip, who can complain? Well, this guy can. Okay, so here's why. I'm obviously not upset with the result of the week. Taking 5 out of 6 points is terrific. But I just want to temper expectations and kind of refute that the Penguins are quote unquote back with a little bit of more in-depth analysis, especially of their last game in Montreal. So, but first they went to Washington, and they took out the Capitals, who are also a below 500 team now, and really nothing special anymore. And a Penguins Capitals game used to have a lot of juice, and now it's just like, okay, whatever. Still Ovechkin versus Crosby, that was fun, but the Penguins won that game I think 4-1. Casey DeSmith was in net for that one and got the win. Then they went up to Toronto, and Toronto on a Friday night was actually a pretty impressive win, beating a second place team, second to the red hot Bruins, and going into their building and winning that game was a big one, especially because in the third period they only gave up 4 shots on goal. Really shut down Toronto, who's got plenty of high power offense forwards on that team, and to see the Penguins actually shut them down. I mean, that's one of the things I was complaining about last week, was the defensive attention to detail just hasn't been there. It certainly was there against Toronto. It certainly was there in that third period, and that could have had you optimistic at the end of that game, which the Penguins also won. So, but then going into Montreal the following night was Tristan Jarry's return into net after DeSmith had won in Washington and in Toronto. Jarry returned for the Penguins in goal and played well for the first 2 periods. The Penguins were actually winning after 2 periods, 2-1. even though Montreal absolutely owned the second period against the Penguins, they had something like 20 shots on goal, and just had the Penguins just chasing their own tail that entire period, and Jari stood up to it. But third period was a different story. The lead went away in the first minute of the third period, and then they kind of traded goals back and forth. They actually got it to overtime, and the Penguins lost in overtime. And it was really a disheartening loss because everything that was wrong with the Penguins in that 7-game losing streak was right there apparent in that Montreal game. And it's not so much that you lose a game in Montreal, lose in overtime, and you go 2-0-1 on the trip. The result part wasn't bad, but it was ugly. Them struggling against Montreal, and it was just all the same stuff that was going haywire. I mean, Jari was awful. Chris Letang was awful. Brian Dumoulin was awful. They don't have a first defensive pairing that are really doing much of anything. 9 defensemen on the team. They don't have 2 of them that could be a number 1 defensive pairing at this point. It's just when the Penguins are keeping, like any team, like when the Penguins are keeping the other team kind of facing the wall, even if they don't have puck possession, but they can't get off the wall, yeah, you're going to do okay, which is what they did to Toronto. Toronto couldn't like turn the play inward and get them chasing. But I mean, Montreal spent the entire game just having the Penguins chasing them on defense, and it was maybe part of it was playing back-to-back nights. It's an old team. I don't know how much their success they're going to have in back-to-back nights. I guess we'll see, in the coming days if maybe rest was a problem, and maybe it was a good thing that they salvaged a point at all. But it was a bad game for them, and Jari in particular, in the days after the game, came out saying that he's been battling some physical ailments, very non-specific, about some kind of injury that he's dealing with. Obviously not trying to tip his hand or indicate what the problem is, as hockey players do. But I thought it was a little strange that he even came out and said anything about battling ailments. So he's on a personal 5-game losing streak. He's been awful, and if he's hurting, why is he playing? I don't understand why he's not just getting rested or taking care of his injury, then maybe getting some rehab starts in Scranton or in Wilkes-Barre or one of those places, until he can step back into the lineup. They've got Dustin Tokarski down there, who they signed this past offseason, who has some NHL experience with most recently with the woeful Buffalo Sabres. And when the Penguins played against Tokarski, they won those games, but Tokarski wasn't bad. And Tokarski was the AHL goalie of the month in October. And so why not take his hot hand, bring him up, let Jari, get back in the swing of things, get over his injury or whatever, and then return when he's ready, because he doesn't look ready. And I don't understand why they're carting him out there. But I guess if there's, I don't know how many back-to-backs they have coming up. Maybe DeSmith will get more of the action until he's ready. So we'll see where that goes. But couple good games, but a very ugly overtime loss to Montreal, which did not leave me feeling good as the week closed out. So that's the deal with the Penguins.
And look, this week you got 4 games against, as we just talked about, pretty solid opponents, right? You got Toronto tomorrow night at home. Then you go out to you do the whole Central United States with Minnesota and Chicago and Winnipeg, and you do have back-to-back this weekend. Sorry, I read the calendar wrong, with Winnipeg and Chicago. So it's a pretty tough week.
Well, they're all tough weeks when you're not one of the better teams. You look at every opponent and go, "Oh shit, we have to play them. Oh shit, we have to play." Yeah.
Well, no, I'm looking at Chicago, going, okay, that's probably a win for Pittsburgh.
The Penguins have not won in Chicago. I got to look at the stats. I got to get back to you with the real stats. It's something like a dozen years.
Are you serious? Come on.
No, I'm dead serious. I got to look. I'll look it up.
Wow.
And I'll report back later.
I would really.
Oh, great! That's going to be that's going to be the trivia question.
That can't be it. Impossible. All right, the Islanders, man. I mean,
This is the part of the podcast Tom hates the most.
this is
He
just
doesn't wanna
abysmal
see-
for me.
He doesn't
So
want to listen to
listen,
me or Steve.
We cannot be happy for him. That's the problem.
how many times are the Islanders down going to the third period and they win the game? How many times was it last week? Was it 3 times last week?
3 times.
3 times
last week.
Great, good for fucking them.
3 times. Yeah. So yeah, we were 3-1 last week. Tough week. It was a lot of 4 games in 6 days. Back-to-back games with the Rangers and Calgary, and Calgary was the kind of the catalyst. They were down 2 goals going to the third, and they turned it around, man. They were able to get a couple goals and just really, really change the pace of that game. And it's kind of like been this whole thing, this whole season. The team is apparently a third period team all of a sudden. This is not like a thing that like really they were doing much last few seasons. Yeah, I'm not going to discount. I'm just going to ignore last season, but the 2 seasons prior, we played pretty well in the thirds, but their whole MO was getting an early lead and sitting on it. It wasn't, having goals happen early on. They get a third period explosion. So Isles get a pretty big come from behind win in Calgary with Lee and Palmieri scoring goals in the third period and Dobson scoring the game winner in OT. It was kind of a good. I was really happy to watch this game and see them win against Kadri, who spurned the Isles to sign there, and it's kind of nice to see him lose in the on home on was it? I think we were at home that game.
Yeah,
we
they
home
were
that
in
game.
town.
Yeah, you were home. And then next night we play against the Rangers, which I was like, this is gonna be interesting because Isles Rangers, and we had Varley in net because Sorokin played the night before on the back-to-back. Made the most sense to put Varley in. And Tom talked about this game a little bit, but really the completely different game in the third period, and it happened so quick. Pelech scoring 14 seconds in the third period. It was like, oh, here we fucking go already. And Tom was sweating balls as soon as it happened. Nelson scored 12 minutes into the period and tied it up on a power play. And then Lee had the go-ahead goal, which we talked about. Now, to be honest, that was definitely a trip on Wahlstrom, intentional or not, but it should not. That should have been called. But hey, man, refs have been dog shit all season so far, from what I've seen. I mean, dog shit, both sides of the ice. You're gonna get screwed.
The first 3 weeks of the season, 3-4 weeks of the season, they were actually really good. We had no shitty call of the week segment. It was only the past 3 weeks that there's been shitty calls of the week.
All right. Get calm down,
fuckers.
But man, that third period, it's 2 games in a row. The third period, Isles just completely different team. Really just brought it to the Rangers. Winning back-to-back games in that fashion, I think, is really just important for the character of the team. Really for the morale. They looked really motivated, and only to lose to kind of the Coyotes, a couple nights later. Interestingly, but hey, sometimes you have those letdown games after a big swing. Isles couldn't get pucks on net. They had a million hits in the game, but just couldn't get one past the goalie. And Sorokin had let 1 goal in the third period, so it was tied 0-0 for most of the game. Power play goal, which is becoming a recurring theme. I'll talk about it a little after this. And then an empty netter, so realistically only 1 goal against. Sorokin had 0 goals against in even strength. Another strong game for him, but hey, man, you can't win with no goals. Unless you're Matt Barzal, who doesn't need us to score goals to get points.
Has he not scored a goal yet?
We're getting to that. Don't worry, we're getting there.
Holy
Blue
shit.
Jackets and Isles, the last game of the week for this past week. And yeah, going into the third period, it was even. Blue Jackets scored. And then Scotty Mayfield, with his 4th goal of the year, already surpassed his goal total from last year. His highest has been like, I think 5. I think they're saying on the and this kid, it's crazy because he's really the shutdown guy. He's got some nice mitts, and he's been showing some of that jumping into play. Aside from, he had 2 goals, I think, if I remember correctly. 2 of the 4 goals were shots, but he's had some from the point. But he's had some nice, dipping into the play kind of goals. And I was another one here and tied it up, and then fucking Zach Parise with the goal. If I remember correctly, that was it should have been a penalty. I thought on Columbus. They didn't call it in overtime. And somehow Barzal made a play to get the puck. Or it was maybe it was Pajot over. Yeah, I think it was Pajot over to extended play, got over to Parise, who scored the goal, and that was it. It was take the toe. I think it might have been delayed penalty. I can't remember now, but it was like definitely a missed penalty. Anywho, they fucking did it again. Another comeback win, third period. This wasn't as dramatic, but it was still another overtime game. And then, tonight they played an early game, so the game's over at this point on Monday.
Even for Billy.
Even for Billy. I mean, it's wild. They won again tonight. Not overtime. Not a comeback. They had the lead going into the third against Ottawa, 1-4-2. That brings me to a couple points that have been interesting. One, Matthew Barzal, 17 games, 18 assists, 0 goals. He is on pace for a point per game, but only assists. Which, I mean, look, he can dish it. He's got unbelievable hands. He makes a lot of space. Just skating in with the puck, people give him space to maneuver. But man, no one's respecting his shot at this point. I mean, he's just not scoring anything. He's shooting. You're yelling at him to shoot in practice. He has a legitimate drought here. It's just, I don't know if it's a mental thing, but he is not getting the puck on net. He's got a lot of shots. If they start to track it, you'll see it when before games. Sometimes they'll show it, like the stat, like how many shots per without a goal, for players have had. And he was like right there a couple of games ago, in terms of number of shots before, with the 0 goals on the season. Hey, he's playing well everywhere else. I just can't complain. It's just wild to see him not have any goals. Outside that, the PK has been, after the first 8 games, they let up 0 power play goals. PK was crushing it, 100% for 8 games, and then the last 9 games we've let up a power play goal a game, at least one a game. So it's been very strange. But PK is still ranked number 4 in the league because it's such a impressive stretch to start the season. Power play is not as successful. It's, I think, around the 24th. I think if I looked at it right before. What was it? Power play percentage, 25th in the league currently. They've looked better, a lot better. That was a big problem for them the last few seasons. Power play was terrible. They've been moving the puck much better. I mean, keeping the puck in the zone and moving it, and goals will happen. So that's looked a lot better, and that makes me feel good because I think you have to be at least in the top half of the power play percentage to have any kind of success in the playoffs when everything is so tight and you need to get goals when you can get them. So that's looking a lot better. Next week, this is the start of our road trip, 4 games for win tonight against Ottawa, as I mentioned before. Then we got Nashville, Calgary, and Toronto this week. So mini away stretch, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, fucking Devils never lose, so we might as well hear about them.
With the winning streak at 9, I figured this week's recap should rhyme. 3 more wins, all played in our hometown, saw Calgary, Ottawa, and Arizona all go down. 12-1 since the Fire Lindy chance has led some fans to reverse their stance. Scoring has come from all four lines. Even the defensemen are chipping in at times. Unfortunately, both goalies went down this week. Vanacek, precautionary for Vanacek, Blackwood a knee tweak. We saw Schmid get his first win in relief, followed it up by giving the Coyotes some grief. He sure has been all over the place. He should be the leading candidate in the Selke race. Hamilton's notched some goals on the power play, while Bratt's 18 points this season leads the way. Hughes' shots are starting to go. That should strike fear in the rest of the Metro. Zetterlund has been filling in quite nice, finding the net not twice, but thrice. Marino and Siegenthaler have limited opponents' time and space. Just some of the reasons the Devils are in first place.
Very good, Steven. Very, very, very good.
Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa this week. Again, they're in the middle of this weird 10 games against Canadian opponents in an 11-game stretch. It's so weird.
Holy shit, I'm just seeing that. Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's just so weird.
Fucking Arizona had to screw it all up. Well, they're eventually going to be a Canadian team, right? Arizona.
You think they'll go to Canada? I don't think
Not a
they'll want an
chance.
odd
Why would
number
they-
of Canadian.
I don't know.
They're not going to put another team in Canada.
No.
No, they wouldn't do
This is
that.
not a Canadian league anymore.
No, definitely not.
And now it's back to trivia with Bill. Yeah.
Now this is the wrong bell.
Sorry,
You want me to tell you the last time the Pittsburgh Penguins beat Colorado? or I mean,
Yes.
not Colorado, Chicago.
Yes.
Yes.
Won it in Chicago. The last time the Pittsburgh Penguins won in Chicago. Do you want to guess how many Stanley Cups Sidney Crosby had at that point in his career?
None.
No, wait,
Zero.
no, he had one.
No, he had zero.
He had zero.
He had zero. Last time they won in Chicago, February 27th of 2009.
Oh,
I had undershot
Shut up.
13 years.
that's.
Anyway,
Well,
so I'm
wasn't,
not optimistic
wasn't
about
that
that.
wasn't that still during that weird stretch where sometimes they only played the West Coast teams one time?
There were years that they didn't play in Chicago at all. Yes, that's
Right.
absolutely true. Yeah. 2009. Okay. The trivia question today. Oh, you guys are going to love this one.
Can't wait. 3/4 of an inch.
Who was the first goalie in the NHL to score a goal?
Marty Brodeur.
Wrong.
Gump Worsley.
Wrong.
What do you
Manny
mean wrong?
Legacy.
Wrong. I want to point
Ron
out every Devils
Hextall.
fan thinks it was Marty Brodeur, by the way. They think they
Oh.
invented everything.
Jacques Plante.
Nope.
Who was the first
Nope.
one to score in a playoff game?
Adam Graves.
Not a goalie. Adam Graves is not a goalie.
Hey, at least somebody heard somebody say Adam Graves. That's awesome. Jacques Plante.
Not a Jacques Plante. No, sir.
Chris Osgood.
No, not Chris Osgood. Nope.
Tom Barrasso.
Manny Legacy.
Jesus Christ, Tom, do you not listen?
Somebody
Nick
just said
already
Manny
said
Legacy.
that.
Did it really say that?
What? Well, let's just
not
repeat
listening.
all
Way
the
back.
guesses we've made already.
I was not
For
listening
Tom's
at all.
Tom, we gonna put your beard on the line? You gonna put your beard
Oh,
on the line,
man.
Tom? We gonna
I'm
shave it off?
cleanly shaven.
Let's just repeat it.
Cleanly shaven.
Marty
Did somebody say Manny
Brodeur.
Legacy? Really?
Marty
Yes.
Brodeur.
Hilarious.
Ron Hextall.
Not Ron Hextall, not Marty Brodeur again.
Patrice Waugh.
Not Patrice or his brother Patrick. No, none of the Was.
None of the Waugh family.
The Roy family. No.
Bill Ranford.
No.
Manon Reume.
Tony Esposito.
No and no.
Phil Esposito.
Phil was not a goaltender. Phil.
Glenn
Phil,
Healy.
He scored goals for sure. No, not Glenn Healy. That
John Van Beesbrook, one of Billy's all-time favorites.
No, he's the answer to the other trivia question. What is the only player in the history of the NHL that has all 5 vowels in his last name?
That's great. Glenn Chico Resch.
That's a
Nope.
good guess.
No Chico.
That's a good
No?
guess, though. I like
No
it.
Chico Suave. No.
Rick
Uh,
DiPietro.
Ooh.
Still getting paid by the
That
hour.
would be something if he accomplished anything in his career. That would have been hilarious. No, no, not Rick DiPietro.
Dan Cloutier.
Negative.
Hmm.
I'm guessing it's an older goalie, right? I mean,
Older than what? I
like 80s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, that's accurate. It's very accurate.
Gordie
Grant.
Howe.
He's not a goalie, and
No.
he played like a few days in the 80s. Not a goalie though.
The goalie, it was probably, he didn't even shoot it in, right? It was probably like last touched by the goalie.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Grant Fuhr.
Not Grant Fuhr.
Grant Hill.
Hmm.
No,
John
it's a basketball
Davidson.
player. John Davidson is wrong.
Are any of the names we've said on the multiple choice?
Yet, there's only one name left on the multiple choice that you didn't say. Actually,
Oh, sweet.
What?
yeah. You already said Ron Hextall and Martin Brodeur,
And Manny Legacy.
and there was a none of them.
Oh, there was a none of them?
No. Well, we didn't say none of them.
Yeah.
So I'll say it, none of them.
I think when you answer things like Gordie Howe, that's kind of like saying none of them.
Eddie Jockman.
No, not Eddie Giacomo.
Eddie Shore.
Shorzy, not Shorzy.
Eddie Altz.
He could kick the crap out of the guy who scored the first goal from goalie.
I feel like I've got to
Mike.
say it now. Rob Dixon, just because I saw him out at dinner the other night.
Oh, is he a listener?
He is now.
Jay Hutchinson.
No, not Jay. Are we just gonna run
Pete
down the whole list of
Dewar.
old Condors?
Is it Pete Dewar?
Well, at least he's not a Condor. No, he did not score the first goalie goal in NHL history.
Jimmy Schultz.
Shake it up.
Dig it up.
No,
I mean, how about John Martin Kovic?
Mike Smith.
Billy
Mike
Smith.
Smith. No, Billy Smith. There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
Yes!
It was an Islander.
We didn't even get to the multiple choice this time, Steve.
This is why I need to be on the show every fucking week. You can't do a show without me anymore, I guess.
We never tried to. It was your internet that fucked up.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
That's a really good point.
God, was that frustrating. Oh, my God.
Oh boy.
We couldn't tell. We couldn't tell that you were upset at all about it.
And now it's time for impressions with Nick.
Fucking great. Oh no. Ladies and gentlemen, the Friends of Rivals podcast. You're ready for the fastest 2 minutes of this tight 45 show. It's 20 questions power play. The rules are simple. We're just too busy just a famous player, coach, front office, or any famous person associated with one of the 4 Friends and Rivals favorite teams. The group can ask up to 20 questions with rapid fire, while our host Nick likely fails horribly at answering and keeping track of all the questions asked. Adam Graves. The answers will only come in the form of yes or no. The group will only make a final guess once they have hit 20 questions or the power play is expired. If the group is successful, they win for the week and avoid shame for unable to win at a children's game. And away we go.
I like the drop in of Adam Graves. That was lovely. All right.
Alrighty.
Steve, you missed out. You go first.
Is this person associated with the Devils?
Yes.
See that? That's how you play the game, guys. That's how you fucking do it.
Is it
Okay,
a
shut
current
up so
New
we can-
Jersey Devil?
No.
Is it a player? A former player?
Yes.
Was this player on the 1995 Stanley Cup champion team?
No.
Was this player a Stanley Cup champion at all?
No.
With the Devils?
No.
No.
Did he retire a New Jersey Devil?
No.
Did this player play for the Devils in the 80s?
No.
Did this player also play for the Rangers?
No.
Did this player play in the 90s?
No.
Was this player a defenseman?
No.
Is this player a goaltender?
No.
All right, we got forward, guys.
This motherfucker.
Forward in the 10s or 20s. Former player.
Or the late O's? Is this player? Did this player play on either the Rangers, Islanders, or Penguins?
No, no, and no.
Jesus
No. That was
These
one
aren't all
question.
questions.
That was one question.
Is it Adam Henrique?
No.
One question.
That's a good guess, Bill. Was it Mike
I got you,
Motto?
Steve. No. You have 5 left.
He was a defenseman, you dickhead. That was a wasted
10
question.
seconds.
Doesn't matter.
Is it?
Come on, Steve.
On the mute.
Christophe
Uh-oh.
Oliwa?
All right.
He was a Stanley Cup champion.
Your time. What's your last shot?
I was gonna say Parisi, but he's an Islander, so that's out of it.
Forwards, non-champions, not on the Devils anymore.
Come
Is
on,
it Ilya
one-
Kovalchuk?
Oh. Dun, 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 dun.
Was born today in 1991. He's a left wing. He's Canadian. Played for 5 teams.
Brian
He played 200
Gionta?
200 games for the Devils from 2016 to 2020. Anything?
Still
First
nothing.
overall, drafted by
Taylor Hall?
Edmonton Oilers.
Today's his
There you
birthday.
go.
Good.
Fuck.
Fuck yourself.
Can I also say that I think the NHL should adopt the power plays over wherever you are, you get one more shot from right there.
I don't know if they're going to adopt
It'd be great.
I feel like once the power play is expired, the ref should blow his whistle. Whoever has the puck gets one shot from wherever they're standing.
Okay.
All right, let's go this day in Steve's stomach.
Oh, that feels better.
Sponsored by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar.
No, look at that.
Round here, we're saving calories. Round here, we all look so lean. Round here, we enjoy Coke Zero, but sacrifice flavor, no. Round here, Coke Zero's the way to go. What do you mean? Oh, look at that. It's 2 weeks in a row, 3
I
weeks in
know.
a row.
That's why I'm saying, oh, look at that.
All right, go to the year of our Lord 2009.
Oh,
Go
Ooh,
to
Penguins Stanley Cup.
February 18th. This is the last time that the Penguins won in Chicago.
That was just a few days before. That was lucky.
February 18th, 2009, just for those of you keeping score at home, is the day before Tom's first son, Tyler, was born.
That's right.
I had a pretzel and peanut butter, you know, the pretzels with the peanut butter in them?
Yes. They're good.
That was my
That's-
breakfast.
That's clear.
Quarter pound.
Everybody, do you get the concept of a pretzel with a peanut butter in it? I just want
What
to make
do-
sure.
What do you mean, Bill?
You know, the pretzel with the peanut butter. Do I have to get more specific? It's the pretzel with it. It says the peanut butter. You got that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, type 45.
Done? Can I continue now?
I don't think so.
Quarter pound fries and a Coke from McDonald's, pork chops, couscous, string beans with a diet Sprite for dinner. And this might have been the last arrival of the knockoff jerseys They arrived today.
What jersey was it?
It was a mixture. I think we had a Red Wings Chelios. I might have gotten a Kovalchuk, or I don't even know. But it just says got jersey, so I would assume that was that shipment. Why did you pick February 18th, 2009?
That was the day, obviously, that police in South Dakota arrested then 60-year-old Peter Dills when he was caught performing a variety of sex acts on a
Fire
take a
hydrant?
guess. Take
Fire
a guess.
hydrant?
Take a guess.
Tree?
Nope. No, tree was last week.
Mount Rushmore.
Come here. Come here, Abe. Open your mouth. I'm gonna make an honest man of you. Come here. On a traffic sign.
Oh.
When
Okay.
police searched his residence, I just want to take some pictures. They discovered a significant quantity of video footage that showed Dills involved in various sex acts with numerous traffic signs. He was charged with unlawful occupancy and burglary, along with 6 counts of public indecency.
What a philanderer. He didn't even just stick to one traffic signal.
A variety of sex acts
What a
with
slut.
numerous traffic signs. All right. Traffic signs don't have holes. They have very sharp edges. I'm
Gotta
lost
be
here.
a hole there somewhere because the electrical wires have to go in at some point.
What electrical wires?
It's a traffic
stop
sign.
sign?
I'm
Traffic
thinking
sign,
a
not a
traffic
traffic signal.
light. I'm thinking like
No, they're
No.
saying these. I have a picture. I'll show you.
please tell me it's the evidence pictures
No,
that you have.
They're saying like these.
Okay, so there's the one that has the guy and the woman walking. That's kind of sexy.
That's pretty hot.
You,
Yeah.
That's-
you
that-
think that he stole like the crosswalk ones?
I mean, at least there's like people images there. Maybe. I mean, I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt that he's just not into a yield sign. I mean, what the fuck?
It is a triangle, at least the yield sign. So that's good.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got to just be rubbing up against it, right? And what's
You think,
different
you
about
think
a
he's
traffic
dry
sign?
humping the street sign?
I can't even comprehend what he's doing with
Or
the
you don't
street sign.
think he's self-gratifying and just looking at the reflective nature of the material that the sign is made of?
Are you telling me that's what he
I don't-
does?
I don't know. I'm
gotta be-
hypothesizing.
You're
There's
not
gotta be
allowed to walk
something-
Tinker anymore. There's
There
a
has to be
stop sign
something
in your block.
where he's having sex with the sign, because like otherwise it would just be like public masturbation if he wasn't really actually in some sort of physical contact with the
Well,
sign.
no,
which
I
I
don't
can't
think he
figure
did it
out.
out in public. I think he stole the sign, brought it home, and then recorded him banging traffic
think-
signs.
Do you think he put it in bed and laid it down and like poured it a glass of wine?
Well, then
my
the
God.
crime would be stealing the sign. I mean, what he does with the
Well,
sign
that's
afterward in
part
his
of
own
it.
home is really not anybody's
Yeah, that's right.
business.
Well, you know,
But I get the pool float guy. They're soft. They got curves. You could do some damage there. But with,
my God,
with
Tom's
street
tried it.
signs,
he gets the pool float guy.
Tom's tried
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
I get it.
I get him.
That's
I
where
get-
I'm
I-
going,
I get
you
him.
know.
I understand.
Oh,
the,
God.
the pink pool
No,
float had
there's
it
no
coming.
understanding any of it.
No, you're right. But I really don't get this traffic sign guy.
Did he ask the sign first if he could?
Do you have consent?
You think he stole like the handicap sign and did it?
Don't
Can't
make
do
me have
that.
to edit.
You don't.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, you don't go after the handicap. Oh, God. Now we're crossing the line. I mean,
It's $200 fine just for parking in their spot.
Too expensive a date for this guy.
Whew. I think South Dakota's taking over Ohio there.
Wow.
I didn't think we'd see the day. Oof.
there's not a lot going on in South Dakota. I mean, maybe it's just, maybe signs are kind of appealing.
Fair game.
I mean, there probably is only about 19 people in the whole state They all work in the park.
They put up less of a fight than a moose. I mean, let's face it.
I still don't get. I need to.
He's still trying to read the article to comprehend.
No, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to. I'm
Yes,
I'm
that's what
thinking of all these
comprehend
different
means, figure
signs
out, yes.
in my head, and not one of them has anywhere that you can put that.
Maybe he mutilated the sign and made a hole for himself.
Again, it's still metal. It's sharp. I don't know. I don't know. This is a scary world we live in. Really scary.
You keep finding the articles. What does
Your
it say about
segment.
you?
And I think he's trying them out one by one too. I mean, he said with the pool floats, he understands it.
Yeah, he's like,
No,
I
but-
get
I mean,
that.
But you can very easily figure out how
Tom's
and
dick.
what.
Tom's dick's got all these little cuts on it because he tried fucking a street sign.
Well, Well, my neighbor yelled at me for fucking screaming at a tree over the weekend, so I had to try something.
Oh well.
This segment is slowly becoming How to Become a Florida Man by Thomas Harkness.
No,
Well, this was South Dakota.
Like, two things have been a guy in Florida. Two things. One who was fucking Olaf, and I don't remember what the other one was. But the majority
I
of
thought
these
the other one
people
was
are
a
in
pool float.
Ohio and up north.
Fair, it's fair. I'm just saying that this is a pattern you're showing of like all these things. You're just gonna have these like Steve said. You're just gonna be trying these things out, and then
These guys all eventually
us.
move to Florida. You know that.
they all
right?
migrate.
Yeah. They would have to.
Eventually, to read your own story to us, and we're like, this is not a surprise. This is not a surprise.
I don't think this Peter Dills guy is moving us to Florida from South Dakota. He likes it up there too much. The street signs up there are far better.
Maybe.
Apparently, yeah, they're made out of something other than metal.
It can't be. That's a ridiculous statement, Nick.
That's
You're the one being
That's-
ridiculous.
Have you been?
You crossed the line, Nick.
I know what you
All
mean
the
when you say
ridiculous.
ridiculous, by the way. I know what you're really trying to say.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
All right, that's gonna do for us. Next week we'll give thanks for things, it being our Thanksgiving episode. Oh wait, I didn't check to see if anybody would actually listen to this fucking drivel.
Why? I get embarrassed to tell people.
it's over.
I just
Is that what
got.
it's down to?
You can find it on all the normal channels, but I don't understand why anybody would listen. That's word for word. That's what I say.
All right, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @friends_rivals. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We will read them on the air if you want us to. Friends of Rivals Podcast is our handle for Facebook and for YouTube. Click, comment, and share. Turn on notifications for our podcast so you never miss an episode of the Friends and Rivals Podcast. Billy, say something, Woody.
Hey, baby, what's your traffic sign?
Oh, my friends and rivals. Flyers fuck, flyers fuck, flyers fuck off. Flyers fuck, flyers fuck, flyers fuck off.